hear jingling. I hear jingling. All right, with that, the man who needs no introduction.
Welcome to the Fellowship of Freethought. We're really glad you're here this morning. Can I find out who's here for the first time today? All right. And anybody here for the second time? Very good. Well, we hope that you'll join us as time goes by here. As Alex mentioned this morning, we're going to be talking a little bit about the ways freethinkers deal with Christmas, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or whatever other form of supernatural hoopla your friends and family engage in at this time of year. Now, as a Santa, this freethinker has some special considerations with the supernatural mythology at this time of year. Sometimes he deals with those issues by reminding himself that, after all, he's just a paid actor. And what he says and does shouldn't really be taken any more seriously than, say, if he were an actor on the stage, which of course he is. And yet, there is a difference. You know, actors rarely descend from the stage and hold little children on their laps and tell them about flying sleighs and Rudolph and flying reindeer and all those things. Not as a story, but as the truth. You know what? Santa lies to kids. But I think there's also another side to the Santa thing. You know, over the years, this Santa has come to realize that for a lot of people, the whole Santa thing is a non-religious alternative to the religious aspects of the season. Santa kind of provides a way for parents who really aren't that big on the supernatural to have a lot of fun with their kids without being dragged into a lot of religious dogma. I once told a deeply religious friend of mine that I thought Santa was mostly an alternative to the religious aspects of Christmas, and of course, he kind of disagreed with that. After all, he said, why would Santa come on Christmas Day if he's not a Christian figure? Thought about that for a minute. And then I asked him, well, if you wanted to have an alternative to Christmas, what day would you have it on? Now, as a Santa impersonator, I frequently do say, Merry Christmas! Now, some of my freethinkers ask me if that doesn't bother me just a little bit. They ask me, they say, wouldn't it be better to say Happy Holidays? But you know, the word holiday is just short for holy day. Is Happy Holy Days better than Merry Christmas? I've thought about this quite a bit, and I've come to realize that a number of words we use every day have religious origins. For example, the word goodbye. That's just short for God be with ye. I don't hear any freethinkers running around saying, oh, we shouldn't say goodbye. And then there's the names of the days of the week and the names of the months. All those have religious origins. I kind of live for the day when Merry Christmas will mean nothing more than have a nice day. And this Santa has said that so many times that that's what it means to him. Now, this Santa mostly does events like country clubs and corporate parties. A couple of years ago, I was seated in a great big ornate chair having pictures taken with the kids, and I noticed one little girl was kind of coming up close and then shying back. One of the times when she got close, I said, would you like to come and have your picture taken with Santa? Boy, at that very minute, her father dashed out of the crowd and grabbed her with a horrified look in his eye. And he kind of looked at me as he walked away and he said, "I'm sorry, we're Jewish." Part of me wanted to say, "I'm sorry you're religious too." Part of me wanted to say, "Yeah, that's okay, I'm an atheist." But then I remembered I was being paid as an actor and I did have the red suit on, and that I had to put my personal feelings and opinions aside for right now anyway. You might be surprised how many times I'm just sitting in a restaurant in my street clothes, minding my own business, eating my meal, and somebody will come up and say, "Oh, I'll bet you are Santa Claus." I normally answer by saying, "Yes, I am a professional Santa." Then, often as not, they'll respond with something like, "Oh, bless you, you're doing the Lord's work." Now, at that point, I kind of got to make a decision, you know? Do I want to engage in a prolonged discussion that probably won't change anybody's mind anyway? Or do I want to finish my meal? Normally, the decision is just to say, "Well, thank you," and continue eating. You know, you got to kind of pick your battles. Now, sometimes I wait in the back of the room, in a back office, until I hear everybody singing, "Here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus." And then I do a grand entrance, you know, with bells ringing and everything. I was at one event like that, and I found myself waiting in the back room with a young lady dressed up as an elf. She had a big old green stocking hat on, and a green Santa outfit, and big old shoes with a curl back front. While we waited, we had a couple minutes to talk. Now, this being Texas, even before she asked my name, she asked me what church I go to. Now, I've always thought that was kind of a personal question, you know. It's right up there with, how many times have you had sex this week? But she seemed to be genuinely interested, so I told her, "Well, I'm a free thinker and I don't much go to church." She looked a little shocked, and she said, "So you don't believe in God?" I tried to be as non-committal as possible, but I just didn't feel like lying right then. So I said, "Yeah, you could say that." At that moment, we heard our song, so we burst out into the crowd and did our things. Now, the office manager at this company had been the person who hired me. And what I didn't know was that he was deeply religious. I also didn't know that the elf was his secretary. Yeah, you see it coming, right? At the conclusion of the event, I approached him to thank him for hiring me. He glowered at me and he said, "Well, I sure didn't know I was hiring an atheist Santa Claus. Who ever heard of an atheist Santa anyway? I want you to know that we'll be going back over all the pictures to see if you molested any of the kids." He really did. And we'll probably talk to some of the parents too. I may even withhold payment. That was about as much as I was willing to take. I looked him squarely in the eye and reminded him that I've been thoroughly background checked by several different organizations over several years. I also told him that I took defamation of character very seriously, and that if he wanted a lawsuit, I could probably arrange one because I had a $1 million liability policy with a company that had some really nasty lawyers. He backed off a little bit, but not much. I'm sure all of you have dealt with this type of person. You know, you're an atheist and you eat babies. That's all there is to it. The next day, my agent called and said, "What happened?" She also was quite appalled that she'd booked an atheist Santa. But she wasn't about to let the guy give her a lot of trouble. Needless to say, I felt a lot of stress over the next few weeks as I contemplated being tied up with legal proceedings and possibly even having to defend myself from criminal charges. All of a sudden, this being Santa thing wasn't so much fun anymore. Never mind that I was totally innocent. In Santa school, they taught me to always wear white gloves and to always keep my hands visible, especially in the pictures. I did that religiously, and I was careful not to even give the appearance of any impropriety. But even after I won, as I surely would, there would still be a stigma hanging over me, especially if the newspapers got wind of it. You know, an atheist Santa being questioned about child molestation? Now, that'd be a big story. Might even make Bill O'Reilly. My career as Santa would be over. As far as I know, the guy never talked with any of the parents, and eventually he did pay my agent, and my agent did eventually pay me. But needless to say, that agency will never book me again, and that company will never book that agency. And, you know, just accusations like that are so damaging. I've even had people, after I tell them that, they say, well, you must have been doing something. Yeah, I was being an atheist. So when non-believers have some trepidation about coming out, I definitely understand where they're coming from. In fact, it occurs to me that I may be damaging my Santa career right now by standing up here in my Santa suit in front of a video camera and talking about my non-belief. But I'm retired. I don't have employees watching my every move. I don't have any clients to worry about offending. I don't have a boss to appease. So I feel a little bit freer to speak my mind. In fact, I'm coming to the conclusion that older people are not really eccentric. They simply feel free to finally be able to say what's been on their mind their whole lives anyway. So that's Santa's story. But before we hear from some other folks, let's have Santa give you a great big ho, 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 season's greetings, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and dare I say it, Merry Christmas. In other words, have a happy day. Thank you.